Before we cover cost baseline, I just want to talk a little bit about a couple more topics in Chapter 8 that'll be brief. So let's look at, first we mentioned splitting up earlier, and we said we're not going to split tasks right now. Now, in some cases, that could help you. So it's used to get better resource utilization. You'll split some tasks. And what do I mean by that? You'll purposely start them because you have some people, knowing that you're going to stop them and then start them again later, and try to balance people that way. And you can do that. What I would probably recommend is, if you have a nice way of splitting that task up, actually make it two separate tasks so you can do it versus trying to split it this way. But I mean, you can do that. So the problem is, generally speaking, if you have a major activity without splitting, and now you're kind of trying to break it into activities A, B, and C, like I said, that can work, and it can help you get some people started if you have them available, and then knowing that you don't full-time. The negatives is you're going to usually have people start, they got to tail off, they start up again, they go, oh, what did I get done before? I got to start back up. You tail them off, put them somewhere else, they got to start back up. And so you get a lot of these shutdown and startup costs. Now, senior people can generally handle this better than junior people. So maybe you're purposely have a senior person, and you can do that. So you have to use some judgment, but splitting activities generally isn't as efficient. Just be aware of that, but you can do that. And again, I would do it by trying to break that into several different tasks and doing those in the schedule. I think it makes it easier. Benefits of scheduling resources, leaves time for consideration of alternatives. So if you're doing this up front and doing it nice, so you can look at the trade-offs, look at the priorities. Doesn't say here look at risk, but you can go back and look at your risk and what's going to happen, so that you can try to maybe work some things around that risk. Now, a tendency you have to watch out for is you're going to give your best people your most difficult task, or your more senior people. Are you going to overwork them, overload them? Be careful with that. You also have to be careful if you're always given tasks to the senior people who can get it done maybe faster than junior. Are you training the junior people to be ready for the next task? You constantly have to be looking at training and upgrading the workforce, because the senior people are eventually going to leave. So how do you constantly do that? And sometimes you just have to spend a little bit more time on a task on purpose, bringing up a junior person. Looking at future needs and things like that. Multi-project resource schedules. So again, we made it simple that we had one project. As you move up or become functional, you're trying to balance multi-project. And how do you stop multi-projects from all having schedule slippage and inefficient resources? And so that takes some effort too. This is where in the matrix organization functional helps out. And the advantage of functional is they can help there, and maybe some of those senior people, they can bounce around between projects to try to keep them on schedule. You'll also see in large organizations for multi-projects, they generally will have a project office that's overseeing multiple like projects. In our case, it was Army, Navy, Air Force, whatever. But you might have different things. Samsung, maybe computing, phones, whatever. So they centralize that. We talked about that in Chapter 2. So treat all projects kind of that are related as a big mega project. And you can do that with Microsoft Project. Again, probably need some more advanced help on using that scheduling, but it can do that and try to link multi-projects on that. So just be aware, I'm not going to get into big detail on these. For a start, you're going to be handling your own individual projects, and that's what we'll be working on in the class.